What happens when the most ruthless gangster teams up with a relentless cop to catch a cold-blooded killer? Stay tuned as we unravel this thrilling crime saga that will keep you on the edge of your seat. This eldest brother is Dong, the most vicious and famous gangster boss in the region. If any of his men are bullied, Dong steps in, grabs the offender's head, breaks their 2 front teeth with his fingers, and then throws the teeth onto his eldest brother's back, inviting him to have a drink. One rainy night, Dong was driving home when his car was rear-ended. The collision was minor, and Dong paid it no mind. However, the man behind him was unhappy and suddenly pulled out a knife, stabbing Dong 3 times without warning. When the attacker raised the knife for a 4th strike, Dong pushed him away with his right arm. Despite the rain soaking his wounds and increasing the pain, Dong, with his years of combat experience and his powerful ice death technique, scratched the attacker's neck. Though he failed to kill him, the man was clearly frightened, collapsed from his injuries. With great difficulty, he called his younger brother, who rushed him to the hospital. Meanwhile, the younger brother gathered their gang and retaliated by wiping out an entire rival faction overnight, believing they were responsible for the attack on Dong. After a night of emergency treatment, Dong survived the critical phase. When asked who attacked him, Dong's scattered memories revealed no familiar scent. He was certain the attacker was not someone from their circle. Puzzled, the younger brother wondered who could dare challenge them in their territory. Dong said nothing more. Dong then took a notebook and pen to write down the license plate number of the attacker. At that moment, a policeman barged in. The officer exuded a fierce, thunderous temper and sat before Dong without hesitation. The policeman revealed that not only had Dong been attacked, but a factory owner at a nearby dog farm had also been brutally murdered. There had been 3 such incidents that month, and the officer suspected the same perpetrator. He questioned the only surviving witness about the previous night's attack. Dong dismissed their help, insisting he would catch the culprit himself. Shortly after, a man named Whistling visited Dong, his words dripping with mockery. Enraged, Dong hired the best painter overnight to create a composite sketch based on his memory of the attacker. He then asked his younger brother to find the suspect before the police did. The murderer struck again, this time killing a truck driver. The driver was on the phone, arguing with his family about missing his child's birthday. The killer stabbed him swiftly, then got into the truck. Seeing the birthday cake inside, the murderer showed no remorse and devoured it. Unluckily, the driver's companion also died in the crash. The murderer dropped the knife at the scene. The next day, Chang, a ruffian, led a police raid on several of Dong's businesses to pressure him into revealing information. But since the police were involved, Dong agreed to meet Chang. This time, Chang was willing to cooperate, proposing a joint effort between the underworld and law enforcement to catch the murderer. He revealed the killer was an extreme psychopath who targeted not just women or the weak, but gangsters like Dong. Their first attempt at cooperation failed. The following night, the younger brother found the murderer's car at a recent crime scene, along with the dropped knife. Dong immediately recognized it as the murder weapon and devised a new plan. He invited Chang to his home and offered cooperation. He threw the murderer's car keys to Chang, but kept the knife. Soon, news spread that a rival gang leader had been killed with the same knife. Police were puzzled why the murderer left the weapon behind. Forensic tests showed the knife was involved in 3 murders in the past month, but none bore the murderer's fingerprints. Chang suspected something and rushed to Dong's house, confronting him. Dong admitted that their men had killed the rival leader to frame the murderer, forcing Chang to cooperate and turn a blind eye. The killer, now aware he was being framed, continued his spree. Dong and his younger brother prepared for a final showdown. During a violent confrontation, Dong saved Chang from being beaten. The younger brother was accidentally injured, and Chang tried to help him, but Dong stopped him, fearing the police would get involved. The next day, Dong's status had diminished due to his stabbing. A rival leader mocked him openly, but was swiftly dealt with by Dong's brutal strength. Meanwhile, Ah-shang found a lead on the murderer, named Lao Jiang. Lao Jiang had been abused by his father and had a history of convictions. Dong and Ah-shang organized a coordinated search, focusing on cheap apartments and old houses. One rainy day, Dong saw a female student without an umbrella. He kindly gave her his umbrella, surprising Ah-shang, who reminded her that Dong was an underworld figure. The girl, however, thought she knew the underworld better. Later that evening, news broke of a young girl's brutal murder near the bus route, the same girl Dong had given the umbrella to. Furious, Dong mobilized all his forces to search the area. His younger brother found a clue leading to Lao Jiang's cheap apartment. They set up an ambush, but the murderer escaped in a white car, narrowly avoiding capture. Dong chased him to a nearby KTV. Inside, he found the murderer hiding in the bathroom. After a fierce struggle, Dong subdued him and tied him to a stool, preparing to torture him with a 10-meter knife. Just as Dong was about to strike, Ah-shang arrived, tracking Dong's location, the murderer to the police station, hoping for a lawful conviction. However, Dong was also wanted for illegal business activities. Angry, Ah-shang interrogated the murderer, but the suspect used all his fingerprints to implicate another man, Liu Sun. This complicated the case, making it impossible to prove the murder weapon belonged to Lao Jiang. The situation looked bleak until an unexpected witness appeared in court. The witness revealed terrifying tattoos and showed wounds inflicted by the murderer, matching the defendant's injuries. He also presented a note Dong had given his younger brother at a funeral, proving Dong's involvement in killing the rival gang leader with the same knife. With this evidence, the murderer was sentenced to death. Dong voluntarily surrendered and was imprisoned. In prison, Dong's gaze fell upon one inmate who caught his interest, the murderer himself. Smiling smugly, Dong approached him with a pound of hemp rope as the murderer was bathing. Their fateful encounter marked the beginning of a new chapter. And that's the intense story of the gangster, the cop, the devil, where loyalty, betrayal, and justice collide in the most unexpected ways. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the film, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more movie recaps and explanations. Tell us in the comments who was your favorite character in this movie. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.